Welcome to Shovelware Diggers. Our dig team is currently excavating the Softkey Shareware 2000 Hit Games 2CD collection. You can find a link in the video description listing the entire directory structure of this archive. Here's what our diggers have for week 226. For more information on how to join the dig team, simply follow the Patreon link in the video description. Now, without further ado, let's get to it. First up, RetroSwim has dug up WINGAMES /comp/Santa2. Why do I get the feeling this is going to be like some kind of like icon thing that shows up on the desktop? Whatever. Santa2. Oh. Okay, not an icon, rather a screensaver. 114 kilobytes. No documentation or... Okay. I guess just go copy it to the Windows directory. Okay, so this is showing up in the list here as Stunt Santa. Oh. And apparently there's no setup for it either. Okay, I guess let's just run the screensaver. Okay. So we've got a Happy Christmas Santa on what looks like a jet ski? Like one of those water things. I got a sleeping moon up in the corner, two guys with carrots for noses. I guess maybe they're supposed to be like snowmen. And Santa's just like dropping like stuff. Okay. I've got a funny feeling this might be all there is to this thing. Oh, no, wait a minute. Santa's parachuting down a chimney. So it does do at least something different. And now he's coming out on rocket boots, because that makes sense. And he's just dropping more presents. Okay, so... Well, I do like the fact that the moon is moving, but here's the thing. Any kind of screensaver program, you have to consider that there can't be static imagery on the screen. And those two snowmen type things in the bottom right corner are completely stationary. So this thing fails as a screensaver. And it also is barely doing much else, so that was kind of a short dig. I guess we'll give RetroSwim another one. Since that went pretty quick, we're giving RetroSwim another dig. WinGames /GG/BLKCRIB? Okay, I'm expecting some kind of card game or something here. Almost sounds like it would be like Black Cribbage or something like that. Or Block Cribbage? Maybe? I don't know. Text files, help file, readme, the setup as well. It's kind of interesting. We'll go with the readme first. Black Dog Cribbage. Copyright 93, 94, 95 by Rob Wilson, proprietor of Black Dog Software. Okay, so that makes me wonder if this is like an actual type of cribbage, or if it's just using the term Black Dog because the guy's calling his company Black Dog Software. Also, this one says January 25th, 1995, so that means this is probably one of the last things that actually ended up online on BBSs and stuff before this Softkey collection was made. Also, apparently the registration fee for whatever this is 15 US or 20 Canadian. Okay, there wasn't too much else in the right file here. There's also a register file and a help file, though I suspect we'll get the help file in here. So, Black Dog Cribbage, game 21775. Okay, so that's interesting that it's actually showing the randomization seed in the title bar there. I don't think this needs to be maximized, although it didn't set up a proper non-maximized size. Let's see if we can figure this out. Let's just do it like this. And put that in the middle of the screen, and there we go. So, I don't actually know how to play cribbage, which is kind of interesting because I actually have a cribbage board, but I've never actually used it for actually playing the real game. So, what's the help say? So, cribbage, or crib for short, is a game of skill and chance. It can be played by 2, 3, or 4 players, although it is most enjoyable when played with just 2 players. This version of cribbage allows only 2 players, you and the computer. Okay, so there's no 2-player mode, which I guess kind of makes sense because then you'd have to block the cards from being viewed by each player. Okay, and apparently there's points to be earned as well for getting like pairs and triples and runs and all that. Okay. So I think I should be okay to just sort of play at it, not trying to learn all the specifics, but we'll see how this goes. So, oh, you can actually input the exact randomization seed as well. So cut for deal, select a card, lowest card goes first. Okay, click left button to begin dealing. Okay, choose 2 cards and then drag them to the crib. So which cards do I not want? Let's get rid of the 2 and 6. And left button to cut the starter. So computer's taking his turn, plays an 8. So I don't really have anything that could tie into that well. So I'm going to play a 10. Click the left button, he'll take his turn. Play a card, but dragging it up here. Queen? No? King? How do I guess it had to be the ace for some reason. Oh, because it can't exceed 31, right. Okay, so because he ended up with a flush, he actually got some extra points out of that. And also 15s too? Wait a minute. So I guess maybe because the 6 and the 9 can form a 15, that counts as a 15s? I don't know. But apparently I didn't get any extra points from my hand there. Oh, but apparently I won the points from the crib for whatever reason. Not sure why. Yeah, there's a lot of rules to cribbage, which is part of the reason why I've never tried to actually get into playing it. The only reason why I actually own a cribbage board, though, is because it's sort of like a hand-me-down thing. So I'm going to start by playing the 5. And he went with a 10. So up to 15. We'll do the 4 for 19. Okay, so this will make it 31 exactly. So that gives me some points there. So play a card there. And he gets a point for being the last card. So because I had a run here, that got me some extra points there. I don't know what this 15s is for, though. I mean, none of these cards add together to make 15. Like 5, 4, 2, and 3 add together to make 14. What? How did he get 12 points worth of runs? It's almost like having a pair and then 2 cards which lead into that pair is worth more than making just one big run. That doesn't make any sense. Okay, so can I make anything decent out of this hand is the question. Not really. Oh, and then he put down a 10 and that created a run, so we got some extra points from that. Okay, so now if I put down a king, puts down a 5, put down a queen, and a 2. Yeah, I'm definitely not understanding the nuances of this, but it seems like it is doing a good job of making it so that the game is playable despite the fact that I don't know all of the rules. So that's kind of interesting. I actually got 2 pairs going on here, so let's actually try discarding the 2 cards that don't fall into those pairs. We'll see how that makes things turn out in the long run here. Okay, so I got some extra points there from making a pair right away. Yeah, even making just 2 pairs was only worth 4 points. Yeah, there's some weird things going on with the scoring in this game. Or maybe that's just cribbage in general. Oh hey, I've actually got like almost all hearts here. So at least I can get the flush going. The question is, what other cards do I want to get rid of here? Probably the 2, maybe? I guess it doesn't really matter. But yeah, even a flush is only worth like 4 points, and yet he managed to get like 16 points from having a pair, and then 2 cards which led into a straight which used that pair. Like, yeah, there's some weird things going on with the scoring. But in any case, that's Black Dog Cribbage. It plays perfectly fine, so I guess if you wanted a decent Windows cribbage game, well, here you go. Next up, Jacob Rudolph has dug up WINGAMES /comp/defend. I'm expecting Defender, but I've got a funny feeling that's not going to be it. I don't know why. Well, Well, there's a defender.help, so maybe it is a defender thing. I find it hard to understand how you would do defender with Windows, like early Windows stuff. But I guess we're gonna find out. There doesn't seem to be any readmes or anything, so let's just load the help file. Defend Droid help contents. So wait a minute, is this gonna be like an Asteroids clone then? Okay, this program is a Windows-based version of the classic old arcade game Defender. Okay, I guess it's not Asteroids, but it's like it's like combining Defender and Asteroids into one title, but being Defender. Got it. Uses dispdib.dll for direct access to VGA hardware for really fast graphics under Windows. There's also a WinG option for running the game in a window, but performance will be significantly reduced. Interesting. So, reasons for writing it. There must be many versions of Defender around already. I wrote this one to see if a fast playable game could be written easily using the Windows environment. Well, I guess we're going to find out. So F2 to start a game, use controls. So keys control ship movement, up, down, reverse, laser fire, thrust, smart bomb, and hyperspace. That's a lot of controls. It would help to know which controls. You seriously not going to tell me? Okay, it says the controls can be configured in the options control config submenu, so that means there will be a way to see what the controls are. But, where's the registration info? Apparently this was made by a Glenn Summers, again in 95. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything in here for, like, registration or anything. Or maybe it'll be in the game itself. So, Defend Droid. Not much else to go on at the moment. What's the help say? Defender for Windows 1.1. Yeah, maybe this is actually freeware, because I didn't see anything in the help file about it being anything but just a free program. Okay, so we've got sounds enabled, sound channels 4. Ooh, we might be in for some interesting sound effects. Use wave out. Or remix new sound? Huh. And then we got display config, which is using direct VGA access with up to 64 stars. Limit messages per frame. Huh. And then control config. So what are our controls here? So A and Z for up and down. How do you move sideways? This is a legitimate question. How do you move sideways? Because it says thrust is shift, fire is enter, reverse is space, smart bomb is freaking caps lock, and hyperspace is H. Okay, I'm turning smart bomb to control, because caps lock would be weird. But I'm just trying to think to myself, like, what... If it's only up and down, like, how do you change, like, which... Oh, I see how this is working. So instead of using left and right to determine if you're moving left and right, you instead have a thrust to push yourself in the direction you're moving and a reverse to change which direction you're moving. This is not going to be fun controls. Also a show CPU usage thing. Interesting. Well, I guess we'll try playing this. Oh, wow. It actually changed the screen mode. Okay, that was a smart bomb. Okay, so... Oh, wow. I wasn't expecting something like this out of a Windows game. Let alone the fact that it's actually working. Now, mind you, it's, whoops. I think I'm failing to defend some people here. But then these controls are very weird. Because you don't have direct left and right control. You have to actually... Whoops. Oh, I recognize that sound effect. That's the Doom teleport sound effect. So yeah, the frame rate's actually pretty solid as well. This is... I have no idea what just shot me. But yeah, this is actually pretty competent for... Well, I say competent, it's pretty impressive actually getting something like this to work in Windows 3.1. Like, I'm not even sure how this is... Whoops. Accidentally shot the guy. But hey, I completed the first attack wave despite the fact that these controls are terrible. Oh, maybe I shouldn't have shot that. And then it went back to a window here. Huh. Okay, that's, I absolutely was not expecting that. So yeah, that's actually kind of interesting that it's changing the display mode. Like, very few games in Windows 3.1 actually go through the effort of changing the display mode for a whole bunch of reasons. But this one does it, so... Again, I just wish the controls were better, because again, you can't just select left or right as your movement. You have to use an accelerate button along with a button that changes which way you're facing. So yeah, that was Defend Droids. This is again, this is pretty impressive for Windows software. It just doesn't control well. This would be so much better if the controls were more normal, but no, the controls are making it really difficult to play. And like, I mean, I could try changing them, but the problem is that it's still fundamentally a situation where you don't have left or right movement. Well, I guess there is a demo mode at least, so... Okay, seriously? You can't move like that in the normal gameplay. I call shenanigans. So yeah, that was Defend Droid, a surprisingly impressive piece of Windows 3.1 software, especially given the fact that this is running in an emulator, and yet it's hitting 60 frames per second. Like, yeah, this is definitely not what I expected out of Windows 3.1 software. And especially free Windows 3.1 software, geez. But yeah, I guess search this one out if you want to see how well this works. I'd be very curious to find out how this works on real hardware, but that's probably not going to happen for, well, anytime soon. And our last dig for today from Christopher Groff is WINGAMES /arcade/SOKO. Probably another Sokoban game, especially with a title like that. Now we got file id.diz. Sokoban for Windows, version, or revision 2.2.5, classic puzzle game in which you assume the role of an overworked stock person in a large warehouse. To earn your wages, you must neatly pack a set of crates into the platforms provided on each of the increasingly difficult levels. Pushing heavy crates around is hard work, so it's in your best interest to minimize the amount of moving and pushing you do to finish a level, i.e. get the lowest score possible. So, we got a text file here. Apparently this one was made by an all-in-list, and not seen... Oh no, wait, it says right here that it's being released as freeware. So, yet another game that is completely free. Don't run into a lot of that with Windows, mainly because of the fact that I think I've mentioned this before, how the programming utilities used for making software for Windows were not free. So it was very uncommon for people to make free stuff for Windows just because of the fact that you paid money just to even try to make anything. Anywho, SOKO. So we got a nice big vertical OK button with some interesting font choices there. And a very, well, not too small a window. It says well on it for some reason. The cursor becomes a crosshair when it's in the middle. We got noise, animations, there's an autosave. Okay, so I guess new game. Okay, so playing level 1. So the goal is to move everything into the far side there. Now, the funny thing is that we actually played a level like this in the previous Sokoban type style game that showed up on the show, and at which I've been informed that it was like an actual level from a proper Sokoban release. But in this case, we are actually just going to solve it as usual. Yeah, since I already know the solution to this one from having played it recently in a different Sokoban game, there's kind of no challenge to this one. So hopefully the next level will be something different, just to help keep things a little more interesting. But we shall see. So almost done here. Just gotta push this box around, push it over here, and straight into the middle. You completed level 1 with 257 moves and 97 pushes. Go me. This was also represented in that recent Sokoban game we played. Why do we keep seeing more, like, the same things again? Okay, almost done with this level. Just gotta push this one over. Now we got a few more to do. Just pushing them all around the edge. I guess while I'm in the middle of playing this, I should mention that Sokoban is kind of interesting for me in that back when I was a kid and we still had our Tandy 1000 SX as our main computer, like way back in like the late 80s, something I do recall is that one of the games that I had previewed at a Radio Shack when Dad was bringing me out to, you know, get a new game for the computer was a Sokoban game. And I played it on like a demo, like one of the demo PCs they had set up. I played it for like 5 minutes and decided I don't like this game. But then I was like 6 or 7 years old, right? Actually, even nowadays, I'm not a huge fan of Sokoban, but I understand what the appeal is, at least. Now, this is definitely a different level than we've seen prior. So let's see if I can actually do this one properly. Like, I mean, the main trick with any Sokoban game is to simply make sure that any push you make can be recovered. Like, if you're going to push a block, make sure that you push it in such a way that there is a way to get it back if something goes wrong. Now, granted, sometimes it can be difficult to tell. Like, at the moment, I'm trying to decide which of these should be pushed over here next. The thing is that this one right here, I need to be able to get above it to be able to push it down so I can push it through this gap. But to get above it, there needs to be some kind of secondary path I can take, which there isn't at the moment because this is in the way. But in order to move this out of the way, it's going to create a blockade here, which I won't be able to push past. Although what I can do, if I push this one over like this, and then push this one all the way down, then I can push that one over like that, and then start to push some of these down as well. And now that I have two paths across the top there, it makes it a lot easier to get these remaining boxes out of the way. So I think I've got this one pretty much figured out. The other trick with Sokoban, which usually doesn't come into play in early levels in these games, is you want to make sure that you don't create a situation where you can't push the last block into position. Like, I mean, let's say there was a block like right where I'm standing right now, and I needed to get it down here, but there wasn't like this extra space here. That'd make it very difficult. And that's something that happens in later levels in most Sokoban games, is that it becomes a little more difficult to get everything in its proper position at the end. So yeah, that was just a basic Sokoban game made by All In Lists. And yeah, it plays perfectly fine. So freeware, Sokoban game with basic levels, like, yeah. If you just wanted the basic Sokoban gameplay, well, here you go, and it's free.